What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Paul Altman, aka Big Buck, the one with the podcast called Paul Altman Show. And today, I'm here to tell you about this new merch and merchandise and clothing line called Jackson Privilege, where you can get your favorite people of all time, the Jacksons, and feel privileged enough to be a fan and a supporter of the Jacksons. Where you can have this hat either in red or in black. Those are the two different colors that is available to get. Not only this hat, also the merch, like the shirt and backpacks and other accessories that could be provided to you. So go follow them on Instagram at Jackson Privilege, and go follow them on their Facebook, Jackson Privilege Merchandises. So, without further ado, let's go! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Paul Altman, aka Big Buck here, with another episode, with another exclusive interview. And this time, it's with Stacy Walker. And you're probably wondering how the heck did I get this interview? Well, that's confidential. So, you would never get that noticed. How I actually get that interview, because it's so confidential. So I ain't gonna waste any more time, and let's sit down and listen to the interview to the one and only Stacy Walker.
There you go, it's starting. Thank you so much for appearing here again today, Stacy.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Paul. It's good to see you.
How did you get started your career of being a dancer, choreographer, and a movement artist?
Yes, well, my mom put me in dance classes when I was 5 years old, and I actually didn't really like it that much, and I wanted to quit. But my dance teacher said, no, keep her in. I think there's something there. And as I got a little bit older, I started to enjoy dance more. But I never really thought it was a reasonable way to make a living. You know, it seemed kind of dreamy. So it just seemed like something I would do as a kid. So when it was time to go to college, I went to college and I studied communications and psychology. And after I graduated, I got a real job. And that's when I knew I did not want to be a real person. I wanted to be a dancer. So I quit on the first day, and I've danced ever since.
Wow, that is interesting, because for me, I think when I started dancing, as my mom has told me over again, I don't know if you can hear me or see me, but my mom used to be a street dancer in the 80s to Bobby Brown's Dopey Crew album. And I think that's where I got my gift from her. And I guess it passed on to me. And my dad played guitar in high school. I think that's both of those elements, I believe, that inspired me to be a dancer, to do what I do. And so, now, how did you get to work with Michael Jackson, and what was it like working and collaborating with him, and how did you get involved with the short film Ghosts?
Well, I was working at Disney World in Florida, And Lavelle Smith, one of Michael's choreographers, happened to see me in a show there. And he's also, his partner at the time was Travis Payne, who I knew growing up in Atlanta. So they offered me a job after seeing me perform as an adult, at Pleasure Island at Disney World. And that they offered me my first job with Michael Jackson in Los Angeles, and that was Ghosts. So really, it was very, very lucky that I got that job. And after I did Ghosts, they offered me the history tour. So I toured with Michael all over the world on the history tour. And then, of course, finally, I was part of the creative team on This Is It. So it was a nice, long adventure that we had with Michael.
Speaking of This Is It, I remember specifically where I was when I heard that announcement, to be exactly. I remember, I will keeping this 100. I mean, at the time, when you're a kid, you're not really too much about Michael fan. But as I grew up my understanding who he was as an artist, as a humanitarian, what he stood for, what he wanted from this tour, it's just amazed me, mesmerized. I'm sorry, I'm just excited to talk to you.
Yes, yes. I think a lot of people were mesmerized by him. And it's really interesting that even after his death, so many young kids actually are drawn to him to this day. After his death, they didn't even know him while he was alive. They're just so interested in him. I don't know if it was his, he was kind of like a character, with his hair was different, his makeup was different, the way he dressed is different. And kids seem to really resonate with that. It's pretty interesting.
And and you were involved or at least being a principal choreographer for a film such as Meet the Spartans, epic movie, disaster movie, date movie, Coyote Ugly, and other films. What was the atmosphere like around those projects? I mean, I guess in that way, you have a certain idea when going into certain projects like this.
Yeah, usually, all those projects were really, especially those spoof movies, as we call them, like Disaster Movie and Meet the Spartans. They're silly, funny movies. So that job was always just fun and pleasant. Not very high stress. It was a fun job. It was a fun movie. Coyote Ugly, on the other hand, was a little more stressful because there was a lot of money at stake and we got very behind schedule. So we actually had to shoot 24 hours a day. Travis would shoot the first 12 hours with the actors, and then I would shoot the last 12 hours with the dance doubles. So it was very busy, very stressful, and quite difficult. But, it turned out great, and it was obviously a very fun experience.
Wow. I mean, the way you say it, I kind of think of look at it differently now. A little bit about how the hard work and dedication, and looking at it at a two for two eye set in a way. Now, besides working with Michael, you have worked obviously with other artists like Lady Gaga, Usher, you know, Brian Midnight, Ditto, Jordan Sparks, etc. And what was the energy and the vibes around being around them are like? You know, I mean, for a Pacific artist.
Well, it's always, yeah, it's always interesting to be around new people. I find that most artists, most people are really very, very nice. Not everyone, but most of them are very nice. But one of my favorites was Lady Gaga because she is really quite fearless. She rehearses all day with the dancers, full out in her heels. A lot of artists don't do that. They like to rehearse on their own in private. And she was game to be with the dancers and just work it out all day long. She worked so hard. She wasn't afraid to fall, to mess up, she She just loves the art of it all. So she was pretty thrilling to work with. I loved her work ethic, and I think she's one of the most competent artists I've ever worked with.
That is amazing. And I believe that she's an amazing artist and a good person as well. Okay, well, you spoke about This Is It, working with Michael. Like we saw in the film, what was the uh, what was the inspiration behind it, and what was it going to be like? No other show like other.
Well, I mean, the inspiration behind the film, there was no inspiration behind the film because we sadly were not making a film. We were making a live show. It just so happened that, during rehearsals and all that, we always shot footage for our own reference and for the archives and all that, but we were never really making a film, until Michael passed away. That's when I think it was a joint effort to try to compile everyone's little video cameras and all the footage that came from different places to see if a movie could be made out of that. And I think they did a pretty terrific job of putting that together. Because again, we were never, shooting a movie. It was not that at all. So that was supposed to be only a live show. But I think it's interesting that the movie was made. And I think the fans really enjoy it because it's really a glimpse of what happens behind the scenes that no one had ever really seen before, because Michael wasn't always going to show the behind the scenes. He wanted you to see the perfect finished product. So I think it was nice that the fans got to see that. I think the show live would have been really great. I mean, I wish I could have seen it myself in London. Of course, I saw it, here in LA in rehearsals, but never the same as it is in front of an audience. So sad we couldn't do that, but I am happy that the silver lining is we have a really nice film to remember it by.
Right. And I mean, I kind of remember where I was when, of course, when he passed. I was sitting at my grandpa's house, and with my brother watching TV, and my grandpa just automatically tells everybody in the household about it. I mean, it was a mixed feeling because you don't know how to take it, and
Shocking. I think everyone was just shocked, absolutely shocked.
I was too. I'm like, was he supposed to perform in London?
Yes, we were. His This Is It was going to be 50 shows at the O2 Arena in London.
Yeah, and that was crazy to me, and I didn't think someone like Michael would leave that soon. To be honest, I don't think anybody was.
Yeah, I think what artists are tending to do these days instead of touring all around, which a lot of artists still do, but it's nice to have a residency somewhere. A lot of artists are doing residencies in Las Vegas, where they'll be in Las Vegas for 10 or 20 or 30, different dates. Michael was doing the same thing just in London, so he wouldn't have to travel. People would travel to see him, which is easier on the artist. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons why the 50 shows in London.
When we started this interview, you pretty much said to me, one of the questions wanted to ask you, um, which you pretty much answered it. I was about to say, like, how did you know Travis? How long have you been friends with Travis? And you pretty much answered my first question.
Well, I can tell you more. Travis and I both grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. And we didn't go to the same dance school or high school or anything like that, but we knew each other through the dance world. And we did some professional jobs together as teenagers. And so we knew of each other and had worked together a few times. So then when we re-met as adults, that was really cool, and there's a certain level of trust and love we have for one another because we've known each other for so long. So it's really a great working relationship we have.
And speaking of Travis, you and Travis, what is the inspiration or the reason behind the podcast, your recently new podcast, Full Out, the real Travis and Stacy? What was that about?
Well, Travis has always wanted to do something like that because we have a really fun chemistry just naturally when we work and we're together. Um, we think we're really funny. I don't know if anyone else does, but we really just sit around and talk for about 30 to 40 minutes about what's going on in our life, past jobs, future jobs, some of our favorite dancers we've worked with. We always have an interview every podcast. We interview someone in the business, usually a dancer or choreographer, sometimes a director or a television personality or something like that. So it's been really fun. We've put out, I think, 13 now, but we've already recorded probably 25 or so. It's a lot of work, but it's been fun. A lot of fun.
Right. And I think that's one last question. There's one more. I don't really know about the last question. It's been blogging my mind a little bit.
Okay.
A friend of mine by the name of Michael Jackson, which is really crazy, a little silly to me to give a name like that. But can you see me or hear me okay?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. He has a song out called Trump Thriller, and he wants to know, have you had heard of it yet?
I haven't heard of it. No.
I mean, I can give you a link to the song if you want to listen to it. Be my guest.
Sure. Is it? Do you like it?
I like it, and I worked with him before, and he's a really great guy.
Okay, cool.
So I'm gonna send you the link, and I'll make sure that he knows that you are aware of.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
And you're welcome.
Well, Paul, this has been so nice talking to you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And thank you again for appearing today, which is amazing. And I will say this, is that I will always continue to defend for Michael. And I will always keep up the legacy of Michael Jackson, and the music never dies. And all I gotta do is make him proud and show him some justice, and always spread love. Always spread love. LOVE.
Well, I know he'd appreciate that so much. That means a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. You're very sweet.
Again, thank you.
Okay, you have a great day, and thanks for having me on.
I hope that you had enjoyed this interview with Stacy Walker. Again, thank you so much to her. None of this interview wouldn't have had happened. I want to thank her very much. Also, don't forget to listen to their new podcast called Well, it will be more information about it. Will be in the description below of this episode, of this video, in this episode. Also, before you exit this video, remember to give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get so that you can get all the notifications about all the new videos and episodes and other content of my channel for this channel. And also, don't forget that love leads the way. LOVE.
Trump thriller, way before you